If you made money this year, good. If you think you're unstoppable, that's the danger. Because fear and greed, they're undefeated. They don't care about your confidence, your charts, or your track record. And if you don't manage them, they will absolutely manage you. Welcome back to the Big Bo Show, where we build wealth by choice, not chance. Today, we're breaking down two emotions that quietly move every market cycle, especially this one, and how disciplined investors stay in control when everyone else is getting played. You ready? Let's get into it.
Brought to you by Julius Wealth Advisors.
Let's start with the truth I've learned the hard way. In football, in business, and in investing. When emotions take over, execution disappears. Markets, they rely on math, but prices move on emotion. History is basically one long highlight reel of fear and greed trading possessions. Don't believe me? Well, let's go to the tape. First, we had the dot-com era, greed's greatest hits. The late 90s, greed lined up and ran the same play over and over again. Tech can only go up, they said. Companies with no revenue, they doubled overnight. If a business added .com to its name, the stock soared. Then reality set in. Wait, you actually have to make money to have a viable business? Fear stormed the field, and the whole thing collapsed faster than a rookie QB holding the ball for way too long. Then we had 2008, when leverage met fear. Housing was where it was at. Didn't matter if you had no down payment, no documentation, or even no income. Greed over-levered the entire financial system. Mortgages, banks, Wall Street products, nobody can even explain. And when fear spotted the first crack in the foundation, game over. The entire house of cards came tumbling down. Fast forward to COVID, 2020. A tale of two emotions. Fear shut down the entire world. Markets dropped at record speed. And then months later, greed goes on an absolute heater. Meme stocks, cryptomanias, NFTs, to the moon chance. Different assets, same two emotions. Greed convinces people they're geniuses on the way up. Fear convinces them they're idiots on the way down. The details change, new tech, new headlines, new narratives, but the emotional pattern, it never does. Listen, I felt this too early in my career. I confused a bull market with being a genius. It took a few bruises to realize it wasn't my brilliance, it was the environment. Which brings us to today, 2025, where greed has quietly taken the lead. The S&P, it's high-fiving itself. AI is being talked about like it's oxygen. Apparently, you can't live without it. IPOs are crawling their way back into the spotlight, and investors are starting to whisper the four most dangerous words on Wall Street. This time, it's different. But cycles, they don't disappear. They disguise themselves. They whisper instead of shout. They convince you you're safe, right before they knock you down. That's why recognizing fear and greed, it's not pessimistic, it's protective. Because the investors who get hurt the most are the ones who stop seeing the cycle. And here's the kicker. Fear and greed aren't hiding in the shadows today. They're right out there in the open, driving the exact same parts of the market everyone feels safest owning. So let's break down where these emotions are showing up right now and what that means for your portfolio as we close out the year and head into 2026. Right after this quick break.
Start building wealth by choice, not chance, with Julius Wealth Advisors. At Julius Wealth Advisors, your progress and your gains are our measure of success. Experience personal attention to every detail. We create strong financial plans, use time-tested investment strategies, and offer personal coaching to navigate life's inevitable turns. At Julius Wealth Advisors, we provide clients with a concierge experience in a boutique environment. Join us and let our experts guide you on a collaborative path to financial freedom with sound money management principles. Develop your tailored wealth playbook and help secure your financial future. Start strong with Julius Wealth Advisors. Visit juliuswealthadvisors.com or call 201-408-4644. Email info@juliuswealthadvisors.com. Julius Wealth Advisors, where building wealth is by choice, not chance.
Let's talk about how these emotions are showing up right now, because the patterns are there, clear as day, if you're willing to look. And today, they show up strongest in 3 places. Number 1, the S&P 7 problem. The S&P 500 is supposed to be a broad index of American businesses. But lately, it's looked more like the S&P 7, plus everybody else. Over the last few years, a tiny handful of mega-cap tech names have driven an outsized percentage of total returns. According to JP Morgan, over the past 3 years, just 7 stocks have powered more than half the gains. In football terms, it's like running your entire 52-man roster through one player and hoping they never get hurt. It's like saying Mahomes won every game single-handedly. Brady carried every single championship. And Jordan, he didn't need Pippen, Rodman, Kerr, or even Phil Jackson. Maybe one game? Sure. But over a dynasty? Never. Are these 7 companies incredible? In many ways, absolutely. Are they priced like nothing can ever go wrong? It certainly looks that way. And that's where greed sneaks in. Greed whispers, why diversify? Why own anything else? Just go all in on what's working. If it keeps going up, you'll look brilliant. But that's not diversification. That's dependency. When 7 companies are doing most of the scoring, you're not diversified. You're concentrated with better PR. Now let's move on to number 2, the AI funding loop, and talk about the hottest topic on the planet, AI. Listen, AI, it's real. AI is powerful. AI is reshaping industries everywhere. Heck, I use AI every day in my business. But emotionally, AI has become the new can't miss. You've got chip makers funding cloud companies funding chip makers, everyone building data centers like it's a race to colonize Mars. It's a circular reference error, and instead of fixing it, markets are applauding it. Strong, historically disciplined companies are taking on tens of billions in new debt to chase AI infrastructure tied to massive partnerships. Smart move? Possibly. Guaranteed payoff? Absolutely not. It reminds me of the 2010s, the shale revolution. Massive capex, debt-fueled growth, growth at all cost mentality, very little regard for long-term return on capital. Sound familiar? And what happened? Energy didn't crash overnight, but over a decade later, investors are still waiting for the automatic payoff they were promised. AI isn't dangerous. Believing AI guarantees you a payoff is. So let's move on to number 3, where fear lives. Ignored opportunities. So where is fear today? Often in the places people have walked away from. Areas that haven't performed in years. Assets without a sexy narrative. Markets outside the US. Take emerging markets. Most investors treat emerging markets like the dusty treadmill in the basement. It's probably useful, but I don't feel like dealing with it. But here's the math. The S&P 500 PE ratio, roughly 28 times. Emerging markets PE ratio, roughly 16 times. Same global economy, almost half the price. That doesn't mean emerging markets is guaranteed to outperform next year. It just means you're finally getting paid more reasonably to take that risk. And here's the irony. Back in 2009, the narrative was the exact opposite. Greed loved the BRICS. Move abroad was the consensus. The US was supposedly stagnant. And guess what happened? Since 2010, the S&P 500 has outperformed emerging markets by nearly 8.5 times. And now greed is crowding into the US megacaps, and fear has pushed investors out of EM. And that's often where opportunity quietly starts warming up. Greed creates premiums. Fear creates discounts. The smart investors, they flip that logic. So ask yourself, is your portfolio built on what's worked or what's actually sustainable? Are you diversified or just concentrated in the best PR stories? And are you ignoring the very places where fear has accidentally created the best setups? If you're not sure, that's exactly the kind of thing a real financial coach helps you figure out. Now, after the break, let's take this back to the field in Bo Knows, because nothing exposes fear and greed faster than the teams battling out every Sunday.
Get your money right. If you got the appetite. Get your money right. If you want to get another insight. Win big while setting the score. But there's something that I gotta tell you, Bo knows.
All right, now let's bring this back to the field, because fear and greed don't just live on Wall Street. They live on every sideline, every huddle, every locker room, every Sunday. Look around the NFL right now. You've got teams like the Chiefs and the Ravens grinding through a weird first half of the season. The Chiefs grinding through a rough stretch. The Ravens fighting through injuries and inconsistency. Neither team's script has gone the way they drew it up. But here's the difference. They don't panic. They trust the system. They make adjustments. They stay the course. Lamar is back from injury. Rashee Rice is back from suspension and gives the Chiefs more firepower. They don't burn the playbook because of one bad quarter. They tighten it. And that's what discipline looks like. Then you've got other teams. you know exactly who I'm talking about. One blown coverage, one turnover, one ugly drive, and suddenly they're firing coordinators, forcing deep shots, chasing the moment, and playing not to lose. That's not coaching. That's emotion. And investors, they do the exact same thing. A big greed. Take more risk. Down bad, fear. Sell everything. Same play, different field. But the championship teams, they don't let the scoreboard call the plays. They trust their preparation. They trust their identity. They trust their system. They adjust. They don't abandon. Great teams don't let the scoreboard dictate their identity. Great investors don't let market tapes dictate theirs. That is why I always come back to the same formula. Time plus discipline squared. Because discipline is your defense. It protects you when the market starts throwing curveballs. And time, this is your offense. It compounds your smart decision, even when emotions try to pull you off the field. Fear will show up, greed will show up, they're undefeated. They never take a bye. But neither one has to run your offense. And look, if your financial game plan has been reactive lately, if you've been chasing moments instead of sticking to preparation, that's exactly the kind of thing we help people fix at Julius Wealth Advisors. Because real wealth isn't built emotionally. Real wealth is built intentionally, with discipline, not impulse. All right, let's bring it home. Fear and greed, they never die. They're the heartbeat of every market cycle. The fans in the stands who never go home. But wealth gets built by the people who stay calm when everyone else is losing it. When too many investors believe risk is gone, that's when it's hiding in plain sight. And when fear freezes everyone else, that's when opportunity steps onto the field unguarded. You can't control the market's emotions, just like a team can't control the weather. But you can control your plan, your discipline, and your reaction. That's what building wealth by choice, not chance, really means. So as we head towards the year end, take a time out and ask yourself, is your portfolio being driven by emotion or by intention? Are you diversified or dependent? Are you disciplined or drifting? Because the market's going to keep playing, but only the prepared, only the disciplined are the ones still standing when that clock hits zero. If you want help to make sure your wealth game plan is built for all 4 quarters, let's talk. 201-408-4644, info@juliuswealth.com, or learn more about our 360-degree wealth at juliuswealthadvisors.com. Let's build your wealth by choice, not chance. Thanks for tuning into The Big Bo Show. Until next time, live with integrity, never stop learning, and always pursue what you're passionate about. Talk soon.
Thank you for tuning into The Big Bo Show.
Let's take a little flower and turn it into a tree. 'Cause we're harnessing the power that has been passed down centuries. Life in a game, fortune and fame. You're gonna win over time, you know. It's hard to attain, but you're on your way. You're listening to The Big Bo Show.
Brought to you by Julius Wealth Advisors.